Hi everyone! I was asked to do a tutorial on how I did cow print nail art the other day. So I'm going to try to make this sort of a short tutorial as much as I can and sort of walk through the steps that I did to make this look. So ultimately, I've already started the process, but we'll explain it to you. But what I did is on my ring finger, I am going to have the face of a cow. On my thumb finger, I'm just going to have some cow print. And then on my remaining fingers, I'm actually going to do a French and have the tips look like cow print as well. So what I have done so far, and for this, I did use all Olive and June products. You do not have to use the same polishes that I did. Any similar colors would do, but I started off with using Olive and June's nail primer. This is really great to put on after you've prepped your nails for a mani. It dehydrates your nails so that the polish lasts longer and does not chip. After I did that, I next put one very thin coat of EC on my nails. This is really great. It is a treatment that has Flora Complex in it that I really like so far. And then what I did is on my ring and thumb fingers, I put 3 coats of Olive and June's ECC. Again, you could use any sort of white polish or cream polish or really whatever you want to do for the background of your cow print nails. And then on the nails that I'm going to do a French on, I used Olive and June's CCT. It's this very pretty sheer color. I used 2 coats of it on this. I really like when I use lighter colors to make it as opaque as possible, which is why I used 3 coats for this white color. So after you have put your base colors down, it's important that you let them dry all the way before you start the next process because you don't want to mess up any of your nails. What you will see me using throughout this process, I am going to be using some dotting tools. I just think I got these off of Amazon, but I have a couple of ones that have different sizes. And if you don't have dotting tools at home, a lot of people like to use matchsticks instead. That would also work perfectly fine. I think a toothpick would be probably a bit too thin to do this, and I would not recommend a Q-tip because of all the fuzzies that would probably end up on your nails if you use them. The other thing that you will see me use, a lot of people ask how I get such straight lines for my Frenches that I do, and I actually use nail vinyls. So these are really like, they're stickers basically that I put on my nails so that I get that nice crisp line, which is why it's really important that your nails are dry, because if you're using nail stickers that you need to peel off afterwards and your polish isn't dry, it's going to get gunky and mess it up and you're going to have to start all over again. These you can find on Amazon. I do not remember what company this was, but I just looked for a French tip. I think Nail Guides is what I put in. The other colors that I'm going to use for the rest of this manicure is I will be using Olive and June's LD, Olive and June's SD. This is actually a very deep purple. I do not have their black polish, so I just decided to use this because honestly it almost looks like it's black unless if the light is hitting it a certain way. And then I will be using ECC again for the tips of my Frenches. So the first thing that I'm going to do is begin with the face of the cow, and I just used the actual brush. I didn't use any other special tool, but I just kind of let the brush fan out a bit so that I can make, I don't know, do you call this the snout or the nose of the cow? And it's okay if it's not perfect. Kind of get the idea. Now I'm going to let that dry, and I'm actually going to work on the French tips. So sort of like a bonus because you get to see how I do my Frenches as well. All right, so I just peel off one of these little nail guides, put it on however far down I want the tip to go. For this, I'm making the tips a little bit thicker than I normally do just because I'm going to be doing the cow print pattern on them as well. When you're using these nail vinyls, you do need to make sure that you press them down so that they are really stuck to your nail, which is again why it's important that you make sure it's dry first. Because if you don't do that, the polish will start to bleed underneath of the nail sticker and you won't have that nice straight line. So then I'm just putting this white color on. And I don't need to do another coat. So what you do next is you go ahead and you just slowly peel that off. And voila, perfect French tip. Go ahead and do that on the other couple of nails. Some people like to use tweezers to put these down. I find that just using my hands is easier. If you don't like the way you put it down, you can just reposition it. If you happen to be good at doing your French tips by hand, you can do that as well. Again, I just happen to have some light tremors in my hands, which makes it difficult to get that nice straight line that I prefer to have on all of my Frenches. And it's okay if you get some excess polish on your skin. You can clean it up later on. I will admit that if I were trying to do this on my left hand or on my right hand, it would not look as nice as it's going to look because my dominant hand is my right hand. I am able to do the Frenches just fine on my right hand, but some of this other artwork is a little bit more difficult for me to do. Okay. Peel that off. And you can see, let's see, look, I already messed up because I accidentally hit something. I messed up the tip of this nail, which is actually perfectly fine. If I were doing a regular, just a French, I'd probably redo this one. But because I know that I'm going to put some of the cow spots on here, I actually really don't care. So there, we have these great French tips now. So the next thing I'm going to do is start working on the spots. So you can use, again, whatever black polish you would want, or even if you want to do something funky, you know, purple cow with yellow spots all over, you can really pick whatever colors you want. So for this, I'm just going to dip my dotting tool into the polish, and I'm just going to start to make some abstract spots. There's no right or wrong way to do this, really. I'm just don't want to make anything that's, you know, a pure circle or dot, because that's really not how their spots look. So I'm just kind of randomly applying. And like I said, if you get it on your skin and it's kind of hard to avoid, it's perfectly fine. You can just, if you really want, if you have nail polish remover and something like a cleanup brush, you can just bring that in and go ahead, clean up any of the mess that you made. A lot of times I honestly don't do that. I will just wait till the next day when I am, you know, in the shower, and use the nails on my other hand to sort of pick it off. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the nostrils. So I'm just going to put a couple of dots. You can tell I need some more polish on that. Perfect. And now we'll make the eyes. But I'll just sort of add some more of the spots here. So once you've done it where you're happy with it, you just can move on to one of your next nails. So on my thumbnail, I'm just going to have it be all cow print on it. So we'll just sort of start making some of the spots. And again, like I said, you really want to let this dry first, because if you don't, your polish below is going to start mixing with the darker polish, and it's going to get all messed up. So we'll just kind of do a bigger one here. And honestly, I'm just sort of dabbing the dotting tool on my nail to make these bigger spots. And then I will probably go back over some of them if they look like they need a little bit more color on them. Also going to be important that when you go to put your top coat on these, you really want to wait and make sure that it has dried all of the way, because you will find that if you ever use darker colors on top of lighter polish and then you go to use the top coat on them, a lot of times what can happen if you don't wait long enough is the darker polish will get streaky or smudge. And so like on the cow, if you don't wait, it might actually look like your cow is sort of crying a little bit, and that is not the way you want it to look. So there, that one looks good to me. Now for the French tips, I'm actually going to use a bit of a smaller dotting tool just because it's not as much space to work with. But again, you're just kind of putting some random spots on it. And if you recall, this is a nail where I kind of messed up part of the top, so I'm just gonna, put a dot there so that nobody else can see it. And there we go. So then I normally go back and I double check and see, oh, is there any spot where maybe I need a little bit more of the color on there, and I add some of it to it. But I think that those look pretty good. So what you will do then is, like I said, you are going to just wait for them to dry before you put any top coat on it. And in the meantime, I'll just sort of come in here and clean up some of the mess that I made. But yeah, it's really not, it's not too hard. You don't have to have the actual dotting tools. You could use something else that you have at home. If you happen to have a cleanup brush like this, a lot of people like to use the tip of it. I think that it might be too big to make the spots if you're doing a French like this, but it would probably work out fine if you're doing all of your nails similar to this one, where the entire one is just the pattern. So yeah, that is the tutorial on how to do cow print nails, and also bonus of how I do my French nails. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am going to start posting more tutorials here. Generally, I post them to my Instagram account, but not everybody has Instagram that has been asking for the tutorials, so I will post them in both spots. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I am at Nails by Agape. And please feel free to leave any comments if you have them. Thanks.